my beastlies, I've noticed that some members of the furry fandom have been or are currently mascots. And the only reason I noticed this is because, well, I'm one too. This is my bodysuit. Yep. Hasn't been used in weeks. Still smells disgusting, even though I washed it. That's always gonna happen. It's gross and kind of old. What can you do? But I'm not here to ramble on about how old my bodysuit is and how I had to add fabric to the bottom because I was too tall for it. Because I have some special guests. I have the sharp, the prickly, Quillcy porcupine, and the self-proclaimed fierce and snarly Nos hyena.
It's me, Quillcy. I'm a 6-foot-tall anthropomorphic porcupine who lives down in South Texas.
Hiya! Nos hyena here. I just want to give a quick shout out to the Cosplay Beast for this awesome opportunity. I'm really excited about this collab video. We met at ACFI in San Antonio, Texas last year, and we bonded over mascotting, and I can't wait to see how this video turns out. Yay!
I'm fairly new to the mascot world. I've only been in it for a semester, so I have enlisted the help of more seasoned veterans in the subject. It's gonna be great. I think. As the time I'm recording this, I haven't seen theirs, so let's go.
I've been a mascot for 8 years, ranging from all sorts of different experiences. From the inflatable mascots, where I was a jet plane at a church, where I was also at the same church a puppet character, where I had a little puppet head and I had regular clothes around. It was basically impartial. It was really interesting. It had an animatronic mouth that somebody out in the audience would sing along the song with me while I did all the dance moves. And then that was early in my career. In middle school, on my 8th grade year, I got to be a wildcat, which was rawr, very fierce and ferocious. My high school years, all 4 of them, I was a hawk, where I was a suave and cool guy, and I walked around. I had a girlfriend for the first couple years, but then she just kind of disappeared, but I also kind of went through some changes myself. In college, I had 2 years where I was the Houston Baptist University Husky. I've also done professional mascotting as a variety of Looney Tunes characters, Sylvester, Scooby-Doo primarily, Foghorn Leghorn, and even Bugs Bunny for Six Flags, which was a whole lot of fun. I highly recommend, if you're interested in being a mascot and you've got a nearby Six Flags, to apply to their costumed character department in entertainment. It's a lot of fun. It gives you a full mascot experience. They train you, they teach you how to dance, they teach you how to interact with people. It's really great. I highly recommend it.
I managed to do some amazing things, like be a pro sports mascot, be a college mascot.
So, for me, I knew I was a furry way before I auditioned to become my school's mascot. So, I thought, man, I heard about mascot auditions on the announcements today. You know, I kind of want to do that. You know, it's kind of like wearing a fursuit, and that's like the whole reason. And we had to do this application essay to audition. So I had to try so hard not to write that I basically just wanted to wear a fursuit. For me, being the mascot was a way for me to try out fursuiting, and notably fursuit dancing, which is what I really want to do when I get my own suit, without spending hundreds of dollars on a custom suit.
When I first started as a mascot, I was back in 7th grade. I was in a class, and my teacher was the cheerleading coach. And there was only one other person who was interested in being the mascot, and he was a short little fella, and he couldn't really fill out the big wildcat costume that we were expecting to get next year, because it was a relatively new school. So, when I first started, I was really young as a mascot, and I didn't really know what the furry fandom was until a couple years later when I found some art online. It wasn't until my senior year of high school that I admitted to myself that I was both A, gay, and B, a furry. And then it all just kind of fell into place then, because I'd been a mascot for 5 years at that point.
So I initially got into mascotting because I really wanted to wear one of those oversized, full of life, animated, energetic animal costumes we call mascots. And as I did more research, and this was me as like a kid, I realized that mascots were an integral part of sports events, and they'd be the center of attention, and they would get the crowd up, and and they would get the crowd up and excited, and they would get to do skits, and they would get to perform and entertain people and ride these waves of amazing fun sports energy, and I wanted to be a part of that. So it became my #1 life goal to become a professional sports mascot. But at some point I realized that I really enjoyed costume performance a lot, and I wanted to do something that was for myself, and I wanted to create my own character and express myself, and that's where the furry fandom came in.
I think one of the most challenging parts of mascotting is the fact that your school's mascot is not your own character. Me and the other mascot at my school had to start from scratch because our coach was new to the school. She'd coached before, but she had not coached at our school. It was her first year. And the previous mascots were seniors and had graduated the year before. We had to decide on the characters' attitudes, their walking styles, and even the characters' relationship with each other. At first, we were like, yeah, they're kind of just friends, but then we had to do a homecoming pep rally. It was really weird, considering that, 1, we were both girls, 2, I'm straight. Straight furries don't exist joke, thank you. And 3, she already had a girlfriend. Turned out okay, so I can't complain at this point.
In 2008, I started college at HBU, the Huskies. Dogs up! Woof! Anyway, as the two-legged mascot, I wasn't really well known around campus. Apparently they hadn't had a two-legged mascot in a while, and got a completely clean slate to start over, which was great, because I got to be silly and wacky and wild like I always wanted to be. Because in high school, I was a rough and tough hawk, and I was very cool and suave, and everybody liked me. A key thing is, as a mascot, you're not allowed to speak. And so, in order to teach people who I was, I had to use the mascot alphabet, which is, you don't know it, it's really fun. You use your whole body to spell out letters. So like, M is like you put your legs out really wide, and you put it down, and then your eyes like this, and then your G, I'm gonna lower myself down for this, it's like this, and O. And so that's how you spell Mingo, was this. This is your N, of course. And so, as people figured out who my character was, I got to really establish myself in the college, and everybody knew who I was, and I got to be fun and silly and high-five people, and I was a well-welcomed asset to the campus. By the end of my first year of college, everybody knew that my name was Mingo, and I had established myself as the new mascot.
So I gotta say, it's one of the most surreal feelings putting a mascot suit on for the first time, and people not calling you by your real name, but calling you by your character's name. And the sports fans at a stadium will have certain expectations about how you behave depending on what the character is. So if you're this alpha, jock panther walking around, people are gonna think that you're the coolest guy ever, even though you're just a guy wearing a costume. So that's a really fun thing about being a mascot, is you get to undergo this complete personality change, and everyone's giving you all this positive energy. And when you're the only animal around, and you become the center of attention, everyone's really drawn to you, and it's this kind of like this drug, people are giving you positive energy, you're giving out high fives, taking a ton of photos, people are taking selfies with you, you're going into the crowd. It's just this really, really fun experience. And then when you go back into the dressing room and then take off your suit and become a human again, it's like you were a superhero. You came in, you had your secret identity, and you got to entertain all these people, and then you leave and then no one knows who you are. So it's this really transformative experience being a mascot, where you become this larger-than-life character. You embody the spirit and the energy and the fun and the passion of all of the sports team's fans. And when I played Skeeta at Essendon, I basically got to build up the character from scratch. There was a previous mascot, but we did a redesign, so I basically got to invent the character myself. And the character was based off a lot of my own personal characteristics. So he's a goofy-looking mascot, so he was very energetic, he ran around everywhere, and would fall over a lot, and be pretty clumsy, and pretty hyperactive. And those are some attributes I have to Nos. So it was really cool to create my own character from scratch. The thing is, though, with mascotting, it's not really your character, it's the team's character. And at some point with every mascot's journey, you have to stop being that character. That's another reason why I became a furry, because you get to be your own character. You truly own your character and their appearance, and it's really yours. When you do it for a sports team, it's your character for a while, but at some point you do have to let go and let it go. Now, when I was the Panther at Pitt, there was a lot of tradition established, so I had to be this alpha, macho, jock panther. But it was also really cool to just hear people be like, rock, rock.
Ooh, boy. Being a mascot is both great and the most annoying thing ever. So, like, as a mascot, you get in the most awkward, hilarious, or annoying situations. This technically also applies to fursuiters, but for the mascots, the causes of these situations are universally known as children. In my short time as a mascot, I had one of these moments about every other game, and half of them were caused by this same little girl. It started the second or third game of the season. This one girl in the stands asked me and the other mascot for a high five, which was like, we gave her, of course, because we're not terrible. A few minutes later, she calls us over to the stands to tell us that we were friends, and me and the other mascot were just like, yeah, okay, because, I mean, we couldn't say, we can't talk, so, you know. It went like that for the rest of the game. She didn't stop after the game, though. I assume she had a brother who played football, because she was there almost every game and asked us basically the same questions. I even saw her when there wasn't a football game. So, my school's cheer team does a clinic where they teach kids cheers and dances to perform at the homecoming game, which, well, they perform. This little girl had shown up to the event too. Both of them, both like the practice and the actual performance, which was great. So, it was her, plus around 30 other little girls, trying to get my attention, hug me, impress me. Or, most notoriously, and I hate this so much, fursuiters can attest to this too, they kept pulling my tail, and the other mascot's tail, can't forget them. It was so bad that both me and the other mascot had to have an adult behind us telling each and every kid who went, like, even at my side, hey, don't pull the mascot's tail, because there is already gosh dang holes in it. I had to sew the tail, like, there's tail, I'm sure there's a hole in here now. I had to sew the holes closed 2 different times because I've gotten it ripped so much, and I hate it. Now, thankfully, this little girl in particular did not do that, from what I can remember. I don't know, she was probably behind me and I didn't see anyway. So, this same little girl that we had agreed to be friends with essentially tried to stake a claim on us. She grabbed my hand a few times and tried to lead me to other groups of kids. And, like, at first, I was okay with it, because it was like, well, I mean, I do kind of have to move on from this group of kids, so, I mean, at least I seem more approachable, I guess. But, like, she would not let, like, anyone else, like, hold my hand or something. She was, like, staking a claim as, like, a show of dominance. Like, this is my friend, back off, fight me. I'm gonna stop talking now. One of you, friggin'...
My awkward moment wasn't necessarily with a child, but it was with someone who wasn't an adult. During my last performance as the Hebron Hawk, the big, rough and tough hawk that I mentioned earlier, I was not really into watching the basketball game because who really cares? It doesn't matter. So I decided, this is the last time I'm going to be in a costume character at this school. I might as well go have fun with it. And so what I did is I walked out of the gymnasium and went and explored around to see who I could interact with. Outside of the gymnasium, there's this big hallway which led to an atrium to the theater, and there's a big glass wall that separated the hallway and the atrium. And inside, I saw someone, and I was like, I'm gonna go interact with that person. So I walked over to him, and as I got close, I realized, oh, this person has a developmental disorder. That's not a problem. I'm really used to interacting with kids with special needs. I was an expert at it. So I went up to him and I started to interact with him, and he grabbed me. Yeah. He grabbed my arm through this big wing, and he held me there. And I don't know if you know this, but a lot of people with developmental disorders, they don't necessarily know how strong they are. And I started to try to pull away, but then he used his other hand and he started to pet my face. And remember, I'm a hawk, so he started going, "Birdie, birdie." And he was petting my face, and it was really awkward, and it was pushing into my face in the face mask. And I was wearing a helmet on the inside, and so it wasn't like I could really move around all that much, especially with him grabbing my arm. So I took my other arm, I peeled his arm off of mine by grabbing his wrist and twisting, and I did a nice little hand motion, and I ran away. Needless to say, it was one of the most awkward experiences of my entire life. But I do like sharing the story because it's a pretty great example of mascotting.
So I have two interesting aspects of mascotting that I want to add for this video. The first one is being able to give back. Like when you are invited to a charity event like an ALS walk or a Relay for Life, and you get to be part of this day where people are exerting all their energy, physically, emotionally, mentally, in the pursuit of a greater cause, a cause for good. It's just this really fantastic feeling helping uplift all of these people who are there to do good. I remember doing a treadmill relay where I ran in my mosquito suit for like 15 minutes to raise money for sick kids. And I just remember being motivated by the energy of everyone trying to do good and trying to raise money for a positive cause. And every time I've been able to mascot and give back to the community, that includes like visiting veterans, visiting sick kids, seeing the smiles that people have and the gratitude people have for you being there, because you are a celebrity being the mascot for a sports team. It's just this really amazing feeling, and you feel that you're part of something that's much bigger than you, much bigger than the mascot suit that you're wearing. And those were some of my favorite moments of being a mascot. It happened off the field, helping your community raise money for good. They're just really awesome, positive moments, and ones that stick with you for a long, long time. And then the other aspect of mascotting that I wanted to add was it's really, really fun to get to meet the other mascots and see what they're like out of suit. And some of my most fun memories of mascotting come from the mascot camp when I was in college, where all the mascots from the conference would come together. They would teach us how to do skits, how to interact with the crowds. They would give us all these pointers, and we would all come together and share tips with each other. And we would get to perform together, so we would learn off each other, see how everyone else performs, learn new stuff. I remember rolling around town, singing karaoke, just blasting music, having fun with all these other mascots. These friends, these instant best friends that you made, it was just so much fun. And everyone was really hyperactive, except for this one guy who played the ibis at Miami University, the duck thing. And he was always just very introverted, very shy, until he put on the suit, and then he was like the most hyperactive, wacky, goofy, out there mascot of everyone. So it was amazing seeing this transformation of this really shy guy who would put on his suit, and by the way, he really wouldn't talk to everyone else very much. He really kept to himself. But when he put on that suit, he just went ballistic, went crazy, and he was just so much fun. And I've talked to a pro mascot about it, and he says, like, yeah, everyone's really their character out of suit, with a few exceptions. And this ibis guy, he was definitely the exception. So that's a really fun story. I want to thank the Cosplay Beast so much for this opportunity. Thanks for letting me talk about mascotting. I really had a lot of fun making this video. I hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. Give her some love. Get her to like 50 subscribers. And I will catch you on my channel, or sometime here, sometime soon. So thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you later. Bye!